It's a survey job. Just chopper them in and out. Be a joyride.
You are going to tell me everything I don't know, or I'm going to blow your head off.
This planet doesn't belong to us. Ancient species owned this Earth long before mankind. I spent 30 years trying to prove the truth. Monsters exist.
You don't go into someone's house unless you're picking a fight.
What you're looking at is a monster from some bygone era. It's time to show that man is king.
These are photos of an island in the South Pacific.
The place where myth and science meet.
We use explosives to shake the earth, helping us to map the surface of the island. They're dropping bombs. Scientific instruments.
Is that a monkey?
Magnificent.
You knew that thing was out here?
I'm sorry for your men, Colonel. But if you want to make their sacrifice worthwhile, hit us home with proof. Monsters exist.
Whoa. Your friend there can put that down. What the hell is this place? That's Kong. He's king around here. Kong's a pretty good king. Keeps to himself mostly. Well, you don't go into someone's house and start dropping bombs unless you're picking a fight. Kong's God on the island, but the devils live below us.
And what are they called?
I call them skull crawlers.
Why?
Never said that name out loud before. It sounds stupid now that I say. Just, you call them whatever you want. This is a good group of boys. We're all gonna die together out here. You shouldn't have come here.
An uncharted island. Let me list all the ways you're gonna die. Rain, heat, disease-carrying flies, and we haven't started on the things that want to eat you alive.
We'll double them.
Plus a bonus if we make it back.
If?
In this dirty old part of the city where the sun refused to shine.
Is that a monkey?
He's been working so hard. Get the hell out of here!
That's Kong. He's God on the island.
We don't belong here.
But the devils live below us. I call them skull crawlers. Why? Because it sounds neat.
Okay.
Look, I just made that name up. I'm trying to scare you.
I'm fine calling them that. Are you cool with it?
Yeah, that seems like a
I
good,
like
that seems
the
like
name.
This is a satellite photo of an uncharted island in the South Pacific. A place where myth and science meet.
Kong is being reconceived as a myth come to life. This film will be an immersive spectacle. You got Kong that's 100 feet tall. It really has to be seen in IMAX.
The whole movie just gets taken to the next level watching it in IMAX. You really just lose yourself.
What the hell is this place?
It tells this incredible story of man versus nature.
You came here looking for a tracker. Who or what am I tracking?
I've been looking for this island for years. Get us home with proof. Monsters exist.
The island isn't just a place that looks specifically like one thing. As you continue to travel through it, you see the variations.
It's never been touched. You don't know what to expect.
Like any natural jungle, there are predators.
Go into someone's house and start dropping bombs unless you're picking a fight.
Kong is killing his men, so it becomes his mission. It's time to show that man is king.
He's not an animal, he's not a beast, he's a being. And it's just something that we don't understand yet.
Magnificent.
He is truly monstrous in size and scale and scope.
When people step foot on this island, their first visceral response is to look at that thing and say, that's a god.
That's the big one.
I hope the film inspires wonder and awe.
Kong Skull Island takes you to a different world where things are beautiful and terrifying all at the same time.
It's IMAX and it's 3D, it's huge, and we're talking about one of the greatest myths of all time.
Run!
It's a good group of boys. We're all gonna die together out here. You should have come here.
Look at that.
Kong's god on the island. Ancient species owned this earth long before mankind.
We're going to bring that ape down.
We don't belong here.
We're going to save Kong. Kong Skull Island, rated PG-13. Experience it in IMAX March 10th.
This island is notorious for the number of ships and planes that have gone missing. The 1954 nuclear tests weren't tests. They were trying to kill something.
That's Kong. He's king around here.
It's time to show that man is king. Run!
Kong Skull Island, rated PG-13. Experience it in IMAX March 10th.
What you're looking at is a monster from some bygone era.
Send the cavalry.
I am the cavalry. It's time to show that man is king. Run!
You should have come here.
Kong Skull Island, rated PG-13. Experience it in IMAX March 10th. You came here looking for a tracker. Who or what am I tracking?
That's the big one.
Before we leave this island, we're going to bring that ape down.
We're all gonna die together out here. You should have come here.
Kong Skull Island, rated PG-13. Experience it in IMAX March 10th. An uncharted island. Let me list all the ways you're gonna die. Rain, heat, and the things that want to eat you alive.
You should have come here.
Kong Skull Island, rated PG-13.
Our expedition takes us to a place man has avoided for centuries.
The geological mapping mission with arm support?
Camera's way more dangerous than a gun.
Is that a monkey?
Run!
Kong Skull Island, rated PG-13. Experience it in IMAX March 10th.
Fox 8 is down, Fox 4 is down. Respond, Fox 3.
Is that a monkey?
What the hell is that? Somebody talk to me, man. Turn right heading 250. Contact
Fox leader to Fox group. On the perimeter. Ready gun in position.
Kill that thing. Let's break it out.
Fox leader to Fox group. Fire and kill!
Well, if you look at that, it bleeds.
What?
We did that. We hook up with Chapman, there's enough munitions on that down sea stallion to finish the job.
Magnificent.
You know why I carry this instead of an M16? Took it off a farmer fighting for the NVA. He surrendered right after we leveled his village. He was 50 years old, said he never even seen a gun until we showed up. Sometimes An enemy doesn't exist till you go looking for one.
What happens when they show up on your doorstep?
I'll still have his gun.
Best of luck with that, soldier.
You are going to tell me everything I don't know, or I'm going to blow your head off.
Monsters exist. Yesterday, I was a crackpot. But today?
You dropped those charges to flush something out. Who are you?
Ancient species owned this earth long before mankind, and if we keep our heads buried in the sand, they will take it back. My agency is known as Monarch. We specialize in the hunt for massive, unidentified terrestrial organisms.
You knew that thing was out here?
I'm sorry for your men, Colonel. I truly am. Get us home with proof so we can send the cavalry.
Yeah, you smell that? That's death.
What the hell is this place?
This is what's left of Kong's parents.
I've taken enough photos of mass graves to recognize one.
The crash site's just on the other side of this valley. We'll cross through and make it to the highest point west.
This place is a real no-no, sir.
We need to be going to the north side right now.
And you welcome to do that, my man. By yourself. I'm not leaving Jack out there. Now, who's with me?
We can make it.
You're mighty right we can make it. Now, stay sharp. Keep an eye out.
I've only been here 28 years. What do I know?
Our expedition takes us to a place man has avoided for centuries.
The geological mapping mission with armed support?
Camera's way more dangerous than a gun.
Is that a monkey?
Kong Skull Island, rated PG-13. Experience it in IMAX March 10th.
It's been more than 8 decades since Kong has been unleashed, and
Yeah.
for some reason, he's still super cool. How does that come?
I don't know if I'd describe him as super cool. He's super cool to me, but I think the reason he's been around for 8 decades is because you and I sitting here right now, everybody in this room, everyone in a classroom, on a subway, at work, whatever, we all are sort of bound by a very, I think, human feeling of feeling like we are misunderstood.
I've always loved the great apes. I wanted a chimpanzee when I was a kid.
You did?
Yeah, I was convinced I was going to get one too, and then,
You
of course,
didn't?
now you see the stories about what happens when chimpanzees get strong enough to
So your
have
parents
opinions.
made the right decision back then.
You know, I think that he's just this enigma that we keep wanting to return back to because he reminds us of ourselves, of the part of us that wants to control and dominate, and then the other part of us that wants to create more peace and unify.
You know, everybody's got this, thing about gorillas and being big and dangerous and whatever, and then you take a huge, giant gorilla, it creates more fear. But, there's also the soft-hearted side of him that we've seen with Fay Ray or some other beautiful woman in his hand, and they see the love in his eyes, and they go, oh, he's so sweet. So there's that, and then guys always have the, can I conquer him, can I get away from him, so we continue the fantasy.
I think Kong has been such a powerful representation of that. So, yeah, he's a super cool guy, but he's a super cool guy who's misunderstood.
I think back in 1933, cinema itself was a very young art form. It was, and so for audiences to see a huge creature on the silver screen was so exciting because the silver screen itself was new. And I think that he's lasted this long because he represents something about the natural world that is wild and terrifying and noble that we as human beings don't fully understand. And we need that. We need mystery because we share this planet with so much, such a variety of life. And I think it's good for us to feel like we're not the only people on Earth, you know, or not the only creatures anyway.
What a fantastic film this was. Let's start with your character. Tell us a little bit about him.
So, I play Captain James Conrad, who is a former British SAS officer, a Special Forces tracker, a specialist in reconnaissance and the recovery of lost soldiers. At the beginning of the film, you find him a little lost, a man who's seen a lot of action at war, and you sense that he's without a purpose. And he takes a commission to join an expedition to this undiscovered island in the South Pacific. And he goes on a journey from cynicism to enlightenment. And his experience on the island is an awakening, a reawakening of wonder and of humility, I think.
And regarding this island, speaking of this island, how would you describe Skull Island?
Skull Island is a mysterious landmass, a wilderness untouched by humankind, where evolution has developed at an accelerated rate. Everything is bigger, everything is more colorful. Predators, pacifists, plant life. This is a place unlike you've never seen before. And when man is re-entered into the food chain, it's not at the top.
That was a great answer. So regarding King Kong, were you a fan of the previous iterations?
Yeah. My first memory of Kong is the image of him on top of the Empire State Building with the light planes coming towards him. It's such an iconic image from the 1933 RKO movie. Yeah, or either that or him with Fay Ray in his hand and he's fighting off the pterodactyl at the same time. Yeah, I love him.
Now, why do you think it is that people are so interested in iteration to iteration, and how is this one different to all the previous ones?
I think we have it, as children, we have a natural fascination with nature and animals, and I think that never leaves us. And Kong is a kind of emblem of what we don't understand about nature. He's a myth. We understand that the natural world has a balance and an order which is both beautiful and terrifying. And that the food chain exists for a reason doesn't mean you get excluded from it. So Kong somehow, in his own territory, on his own turf, represents nature undisturbed and unspoiled by man. And there's a theory that's also explored in the Godzilla picture, that the arrogance of man is thinking that nature is within our control when in fact it's the other way around. And that sometimes the impact of human beings on the natural world is not always a positive one.
And so, also, how do you, let's go to the decade that this story takes place.
Yeah.
How do you think that adds to this whole overall story?
Well, Kong Skull Island is set in 1973, and this is a time where the world has gone through a huge period of social and political change. The enormous revolutions of the 60s have changed the way people think and live. That Richard Nixon has just withdrawn US troops from Vietnam. Satellites are orbiting the Earth and are beginning to photograph it from space, which will reconceive of how we think about the planet. It'll seem smaller, but that technology is very new. And so 1973 is plausibly the last time we could imagine an undiscovered island in the South Pacific where creatures roam undisturbed. And we get the rock and roll music, we get helicopters, we get the real flavor of exploration that the 70s brings.
And talk about some of the locations that you've shot in and how those added to this cinematic,
Yeah, I think one of the great strengths of Jordan Vogt-Roberts, our director, is that he insisted we shoot this in real places. And he spent a long time location scouting so that Skull Island was tangibly made up of some of the most beautiful and remote places on Earth. And those places were Oahu in Hawaii, Queensland in Australia, and northern Vietnam. And the sort of composite elements of all those places are very, very tangible in the picture. And so that the volcanic valleys of Hawaii and the lush rainforests of Mount Tambourine and the swamps and mountain lakes of Vietnam are all present in the film. And I think you can feel that palpably when you watch the film, that cast and crew were dropped into these places, and you can feel the heat and the moisture and the sweat and the the fact that we're all running through swamps. It just feels real in a way that you can't recreate digitally.
And interesting, so you obviously spent a lot of time with the other actors too. I mean, this is a great cast.
Yeah.
So how was that, spending all this time together?
It was great. I think it's a very diverse cast with very diverse talent, and everybody brought something to the table which was really unique and valuable. And we were all thrown together away from home in these very far-flung places, and we bonded together very fast. We sang karaoke in Hawaii, learned how to surf in Waikiki Beach in Honolulu. We went go-karting, we had barbecues, we went and got street food in Hanoi. It was really fun.
Sounds like fun. And lastly, I mean, this is a big action film.
Yeah.
What do you hope that people take away from this after seeing it?
I really hope that people buckle up and enjoy the ride, because it's a hell of a ride. It just goes at such a lick, and it feels both old-fashioned in the romantic sense of being a great adventure, but it's also very fresh and contemporary, and underneath the spectacle and the action, a lot of which is very original, there is a theme, and the theme is that I think human beings have yet to find a balance in their relationship with the natural world, and that we have to be careful that we don't, we live on this beautiful planet, and we have to be protective of that, and to let it be.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So, great film. Awesome. So much fun.
Thank you.
It is. It's fantastic. Tell us a little bit about your character.
Sure. I play Mason Weaver. She is a self-proclaimed anti-war photographer, and she is not afraid to do whatever it takes to get the shot. And in this case, it means that she's willing to sneak on to this secret mission and figure out what's going on Skull Island.
Now, why do you think it is that people are constantly interested in the King Kong story, iteration after iteration? Interests them so much?
Well, I think it's because it taps into our own human nature. We've got two sides of us, and there's one that really wants to control and dominate and wants to be like the most important and most powerful, and then there's another part of us that knows that we need to work with compassion and kindness, and that we don't need to use so much force in order for us to unite.
And what do you think, how is this one different from previous iterations?
Well, the cool thing about this movie is that it's a lot different. I mean, first of all, Kong is, I think, 5 times bigger. He's absolutely massive. It takes place in a completely different period of time. It's the 70s. We've got the Vietnam War as part of the backdrop, and a whole new set of characters that are completely different from the other ones.
And talking about these characters, you've got a great ensemble cast there. And can you talk a little bit about, did you spend a lot of time with them? And I know that you can also talk about the locations too that you shot at.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we shot in Australia, Hawaii, and Vietnam, and like really deep, secluded parts to try and get the feel of what it's like to be in land that's been untouched by man. So because of that, like a lot of the time there's no cell service, there's certainly not Wi-Fi. It was too far away to go back to your trailer between setups. So we were all kind of just together in a tent outside in the jungle for, I don't know, 10 hours a day. So you become very close.
There's a scene in the film where you're seeing Kong close up for the first time, and it evokes so much emotion, like you can really see it and feel it in your face. Where did you draw from, and where? Because obviously you're not seeing this in
Right.
real life, but it was amazing to see that on screen. How did you evoke that emotion?
I don't know. It's kind of magic. Part of it came from an experience that I had in India where I got to touch an elephant, and I was really conflicted with the experience because I'd never been so close to something that's so much bigger than me and so much stronger than me. And so I kept kind of feeling this push and pull where I'd get close to it and then I'd take a step back, and I was sort of laughing and crying. And for me, what was so powerful about it was that here is this creature that could very easily hurt me, but it doesn't, because there's just this deep gentleness mixed in with all of that strength. So I imagine that was sort of similar to what it would be like to have this FaceTime with Kong.
That's amazing. And what do you hope that people take away from this film?
I don't know what I hope people take away. I just think that the film, it asks some really great questions of us, of what's important to us, what are we willing to risk our life for, how do we want to handle the untouched land on our planet, how do we want to protect the vulnerable, and I think that this movie does it in a really fun way.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, your character is a photographer. I noticed there was some photography out
Mm-hmm.
shown here, and I'm understanding that these are photos that you actually took.
Yeah.
Which was amazing.
Yeah.
Did you just take those along while you were filming?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I usually figure out some sort of hobby to do on set because it's really hard to read books, or we couldn't really go on our phones because we're in the middle of nowhere and no cell service. So you kind of want something that allows you to stay in the same mindset as your character and explore it, but it's kind of meditative. And so taking photos just seemed like a natural thing to do between takes because I'm in gorgeous locations with really captivating actors with great faces, and with places I'd never been before. So at first it just started off as like a way for me to explore, and then I realized that I had like a lot of film that I had taken. So it got secretly developed, and now here it is.
Really great job.
Thanks.
Great. Oh, great job. Great job.
Thank you.
Let's start off with the film. Great performance. And tell us a little bit about your character.
I portray a character by the name of Colonel Packer. He's helicopter commander of a unit of guys. At the end of the Vietnam War, everybody's headed home. His soldiers are going home to their families or to their lives or new jobs, and he's trying to figure out, where he's going to be or what he's going to do. Feeling kind of cheated because, they're saying we lost the war. He feels like the war was just abandoned. And he gets an opportunity or a request to take these scientists for some kind of scouting mission, more or less a babysitting job that he figures one last chance for he and his guys to fly together. So they take him to this place, Skull Island, and out of nowhere they get attacked by this giant gorilla. And he loses some men, which sends him into battle mode. So he's pretty much looking at this thing that's declared war on he and his guys, and it's a war that he plans on not losing.
So, Kong, what do you think it is about King Kong that keeps people coming back iteration after iteration? What is the fascination?
Well, I think it feels familiar to him. I guess most people at some point in their lives have seen the black and white 1933 version, which is sort of like the first time you had something that was familiar but not familiar. You know, everybody knows what a gorilla is, but nobody imagined a gorilla that large. I guess for some people, you know, like me when I was a kid, I just assumed when gorillas grew up, they grew up to be that big. So the reality of that is, you know, kind of acceptable for a lot of people in a way, you know, that they can grow that big and climb a building and knock airplanes out of the air. And I guess as a kid, for me, you know, we always imagined, you know, running away from something that big or trying to figure out how to defeat it. And over the years, as the story comes back, you know, people get the same thing. Well, how are they going to do it now? Because they can do it better, or it's in color, or it's, you know, larger, or it's whatever. And now we have what theoretically is an origin story of a place where something like that, you know, was hatched and grown, and whatever else lives in that particular place that might be just as dangerous or just as large. So, you know, the mysterious aspect of that is always intriguing to an audience, we hope.
I think so. And how would you describe Skull Island?
Hot, buggy, damp, wet. It's got a lot of different kinds of terrains. You can go from tropical rainforest to a bamboo forest to open stretches of grassy plains to really bizarre looking mountainous protrusions coming up out of lakes and oceans and bodies of water.
Fantastic. And speaking of that, there was a lot of location shooting in this film. So also great ensemble cast. I asked John Goodman about the cast, and he said it's not a group of people that you would want to whine in front of. So I just wanted to see did you spend a lot of time with these other actors?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time sitting around in tents waiting on them to set up the next shot and doing this, that, or the other, talking about this, or walking and just stopping and saying, okay, cut. And we just plopped down in this long grass. Hopefully we weren't sitting in the middle of an anthill or something more dangerous in Australia, like a brown snake patch or whatever. Occasionally you look around and you go, oh, wow, look, kangaroos. Are there kangaroos on Skull Island? You can't use this shot. So we relaxed together and, you know, lamented sometimes looking at our feet and like, geez, we've been walking for like 8 days and we haven't said a word. What are we doing now? Yeah, so we groused together, we laughed together. It was fun.
And what do you hope that people will take away from this film? It's a great film, but you know, you could get a little message out of that.
Well, I mean, it's essentially an escapist entertainment film. Yeah, there's an environmentalist sort of message there that, you know, there are certain things we shouldn't bother or we should try to preserve. There's we're man and we're intellectually superior to everything out here, but that doesn't mean we have to defeat everything out here to prove our superiority. There's the leave well enough alone message. And I guess there's just the aspect of there still should be films that we can go to that allow us to escape the 24/7 deluge of news, whether it's good, bad, or otherwise, and I think this is one of those kinds of films.
I agree. It was awesome.
Thank you.
Kong's massive presence and strength gives him the ability to intimidate other creatures. Despite his large size, his tenderness and goodness allows him to feel and connect with humans. This alone makes him so likable and makes him as popular as he is today. We have saying in China, don't judge anyone by their appearance. True beauty lies within. This also relates Kong's situation. I play a character named San in this film. She's a biologist who has a firm pursuit for the truth in her own field. She looks very innocent and delicate on the outside, but in fact, she's really independent, knowledgeable, and determined. As a scientist, I think she's really devoted, and she knows a lot more than others in the group about all the creatures on Skull Island, including King Kong. This has been the most ever traveled for one film. We started in Hawaii and then Australia, and we'll finish off in Vietnam. We've been to so many beautiful locations in each of these countries. Hawaii was tough because of the unpredictable rain. Australia, on the other hand, presented so many little creatures of its own on set. I remember one time I encountered both a huge caterpillar that landed on my head and a snake that was just under my seat, a snake. That was so scary. And Vietnam was the hardest one of the three. But what I can say is all locations have extraordinary views and beautiful landscapes.